This is Justin from Dean's Team Racing and Dean's Team Watercraft Performance. We'll be doing a how-to video on the grate inserts for the GP1800. You will need to get it to this point where the exhaust is removed and also the hoses going into the transom, although not a necessity, makes it a lot easier. Also remove the ride plate and the intake grate. Some specialty items that you will need are a heat gun, something to fill the void between the inserts and the inner liner of the grate. We use the West Marine epoxy. It seems to do a lot better job, but people in the past have been using the amazing casting resin here. It's a similar two-part epoxy, but we recommend West Marine system. Some things else you'll need: a 29/64 drill bit, and I use a transfer punch that is also 29/64, but a drift will do just the same. The stock grate bosses will need to be saved. What we do is we take a heat gun and heat up the brown glue that's in there. Doesn't need to be very hot. Once it does get warm, they will pop right out. Once you have the glue good and warmed up, crawl back underneath and insert a bolt through the hole. Just give it a couple taps until it breaks free. Once you have them out, set them aside for later because you will use them again. Next, I take a wood chisel and come in here and clean out the bottom where all the silicone is. You want this area as clean as possible. In addition to cleaning it out, you will need to take your 29/64 drill bit and clean out the silicone that is in the boss holes already. Once you have the pocket cleaned out, next you'll need to take some silicone, we prefer ultra black, and go around the areas where the plates will sit. Once you have your silicone barrier established, we'll begin installing the plates. As you can see, the holes are offset. The hole closest to the edge here goes towards the back. For right now, all you need to do is get them close, and next we'll go underneath and use our lineup tool to get the holes centered. Once you have the plates on, take a heavy object, like I have this chunk of aluminum here, and I set it on the plate to hold force down while the silicone cures. Next, you'll crawl back underneath and, using your alignment tool, align the holes. You'll need to allow time for the silicone to cure. Usually about an hour should be good enough, but in the meantime you can crawl back underneath and duct tape the holes. Make sure they're closed off because you don't want any of the epoxy to run through. Once you've allowed the silicone to set up and cure a little, you can remove the blocks and start to pour in your epoxy. The key is you want to pour it in the front hole until it starts coming out the rear hole. Then you know it's full. Pour it in nice and slow so it has a chance to even out. As you can see, it's starting to come out the rear hole. you have any residual epoxy that's spilled over, you want to clean that up right away, because the original factory bosses need to sit flat on top of those plates. I always keep the cup handy that I use to pour the epoxy in, so I know when it's starting to cure and when it's getting hard. As you can tell, it does get hot and melted the plastic, but it is getting hard already. Another surefire way to tell when it's good and hard is take your popsicle stick you use to mix it with and poke it. Make sure it's set up good before you go and re-drill the holes. After you have confirmed that the epoxy is starting to set up, take your 29/64 drill bit and re-drill the holes, taking care not to puncture any of the outer liner. Next, we will begin the reassembly process. Make sure you silicone around the original bosses. There's a little channel in there for silicone, and a nice couple big strips right down the middle, just so it glues itself to that plate. Put the original bosses back over the holes, and then come back underneath and reset the grate with the bolts provided. It will pull the bosses down, and once you have that grate on there, do not remove it for 24 hours to allow everything to dry. While you're waiting for it to dry, now is a good chance to wipe up any residual silicone from when it got squeezed out. And you can go ahead and put your hoses back on, your transom, and the exhaust back on, and you're done.